What up, everybody? It's your boy Rip, and this week for Sellout Sunday, we'll be discussing why you Chicago Bears fans are responsible for the current state. We'll be back right after this. What up, everybody? It's your boy Rip, back with another episode of Sellout Sunday. As some of you may know, I am from Illinois, grew up a huge Chicago sports fan. I grew up in the Chicagoland area my whole life. So I grew up just in that whole Chicago sports culture. Huge Chicago Bulls fan in the 90s with the Michael Jordan era, and huge Chicago Bears fan. And I've been supporting the Chicago Bears a lot, especially the last decade of my life. I've just been a huge Chicago Bears fan and supporter, and I've watched them religiously. Probably haven't missed a game in the last 6 years until this year. Just like the rest of you Chicago Bears fans, I've grown really frustrated lately. And it's come to the point where somebody has to be blamed for all the just turmoil and everything that the team is facing right now. And it's come to a point where it's way beyond. It goes way beyond the point to where everything is internal now. It goes way beyond that. I mean, I've been saying for years that Lovey had to go. I've been saying for years that Devin Hester has to go before they even cut him loose. I didn't know too much about Mark Trestman before he came onto the Chicago Bears, but I know he was a bad decision. I've been saying that Emery's got to go. I've been saying that Mel Tucker's got to go for years, especially since last year when Chris Conte blew that coverage during the Packer game, and the Packers ended up going up to the playoffs, and the Chicago Bears got left out. And I just knew that last year the defense was terrible. So I've been saying for years the Chicago Bears have a lot of internal problems going on, and they have not been addressing them. After last year with the defense, as terrible as it was, Chris Conte still has a job, Mel Tucker still has a job, and it's just to the point, it's so ridiculous that the very last person on that pyramid, you got to think of things in life. Things are like a pyramid, you know what I'm saying? You got the people down here eating and the people at the very top. And if you really think about it, the pyramid with the Chicago Bears and what is fueling them and keeping them going is the fans, ultimately. The fans are the ones who are pumping money into the team. They're going to the home games. They're buying the official NFL Chicago Bears gear, and they're supporting the Bears, which they should be, to a point. And they're supporting the Chicago Bears to where the Bears have this money to make all these irresponsible choices. But it has come to a point where enough is enough. There's so much ridiculous shit going on where it goes beyond the coaching, it goes beyond the management, it goes beyond the ownership. And honestly, it is now falling on to you fans. You know what I mean? If you are a fan and you are still supporting this team, you should be ashamed of yourself. And ultimately, last week's game against the Green Bay Packers, I was fortunate enough to go. That was my first NFL experience ever. I had a ball. It was awesome. I went with my brother. One of my friends bought me some tickets. I had awesome seats. I had an awesome experience at Lambeau, even though the Bears got blown out and it was embarrassing and it was just the worst first game to ever experience. You know, if you're going to go to an NFL game, it was just the worst circumstances ever. But I actually enjoyed myself. I had a ball. The Lambeau experience was actually kind of awesome, to be honest, even though I'm a Bears fan. And it was humiliating, though. It was seriously fucking humiliating. And it's to the point where if you are seriously a Chicago Bears fan and supporter now, you should be ashamed of yourself. If you're going to the game, if you're going to this game this Sunday today, you should be ashamed of yourself. If you're out there buying sports gear and you're wearing Chicago Bears sports gear and you are supporting the team still, you should be ashamed of yourself. And you are the reason why the Bears continue to fail. You are the reason. Think of it like this. And I know what a lot of you fans are saying. You're saying, I'm a diehard Chicago Bears fan. I'm going to support them to no matter what. I'm going to be there forever. That's what a real fan is. A real fan supports their team no matter what, through thick and thin. Well, let me ask you this. Say you were to get married. You get married, right? And you say your nuptials, and you make a promise to yourself and to God. I'm going to be with this person through thick and thin, through sickness and health, till death do us part. You just made a promise to yourself, to that person, and to God that you'll be with this person no matter what, right? Well, at what point does that promise become null and void? At what point is that promise become one that you shouldn't keep anymore? You know what I mean? Like, if your wife starts becoming verbally, mentally, and physically abusive, are you going to stay with that person even though you made this promise? No, most likely not. You got to be sick in the head. You got to be crazy. You got to be twisted to stick with that person. It becomes unhealthy. It's no longer a mutual, respectable relationship. You know what I mean? You are not going to stick with that person. You know, any normal, healthy person is going to say you need to get out of that relationship. Something needs to change. You cannot continue to be in this relationship despite that promise that you made, because they are not upholding their end of the bargain. So you're going to get out of that relationship. Common sense tells you are not going to stick in a verbally, mentally, and physically abusive relationship, no matter what promise you made. There comes a point in every situation, there comes a breaking point. There comes that threshold where you got to say enough is enough. And now, this past week at Lambeau Field, enough was enough. You can't get any worse than that. You honestly cannot. I have never seen a game that bad in the whole history of me being a Chicago Bears fan. I've never seen or witnessed anything that bad. And you honestly can't get any worse than that. The Chicago Bears losing to the Green Bay Packers the way they did, the oldest rivalry in the NFL, and you get blown out 55-14, like to a game you must win, coming out of a bye when you just got stomped by the Patriots the week before. It's uncalled for. You cannot have any circumstance worse than this. And this is the point. This is the threshold where you say enough is enough. I'm going to stop supporting this team until they get their shit right. And that's what has to be done. I mean, if you continue to support this team, they're going to continue to make stupid decisions, stupid mistakes, spend stupid amounts of money on dumbass things like spending all that money on Cutler, and you are enabling this poor behavior. You're enabling this to the point where these coaches say dumb stuff like Trestman and Tucker, where they're saying all these ridiculous ass things like, oh, I feel like everything is okay in the locker room, and I feel we're at a good place with our team. Are you kidding me right now? You support that? You honestly support that wholeheartedly? You have got to be kidding me. Now is the point where enough is enough. You can't get any worse than that loss in Green Bay, or you can't be in a situation any worse than that. We're out of this playoff race. I mean, the season is done. You know, enough is enough. And if you continue to support this team, I don't know. I mean, you're the problem with this team now. It's no longer the management. It's no longer the ownership. It's no longer the president. It's no longer defensive coordinator. It's no longer the head coach. It's no longer the players. It is you. The problem is you. If you support this kind of nonsense, the problem is you. I have come to the point where I honestly am denouncing myself a Bears fan. I am no longer a Bears fan until they get their shit right. I am honestly, seriously, I am denouncing myself a Bears fan. I'm not doing this for publicity. I'm not trying to do it to be funny. I'm being honest. I am denouncing myself a Chicago Bears fan until they can get their shit right. It's not hard to get your shit together. And I am not supporting them anymore. I will not be going to any home games. I will not be buying any official gear. I will not be doing anything that puts money into the organization's pocket, because they need this. They need strikes. They need people to be against them. They need people to speak out. And I am being that person, because enough is enough. And if you continue to support them, you continue to fuel the issues and problems with this team. Point blank. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's the point blank, simple truth. If everyone was to boycott the game today and not go to the game, they would be missing out on a bunch of money, millions of dollars. They won't be able to pay their salaries. And if they don't have the support of the fans coming to the games, patronizing the stadium and their gear and their online shops and everything that feeds them the money to be able to pay the millions of dollars to all these players who are playing like fucking high school kids, then they wouldn't be able to pay them, and they wouldn't be able to. The team wouldn't be able to strive. So ultimately, it was on you, the consumer, the supporter, on whether this team succeeds or not. And I call for tough love. It is time. It is that time where tough love needs to kick them in the fucking ass, because nothing else is going to wake them up. Shit had been woken up a year or two ago, and they're still not getting the clue, still not getting drilled into their head. And this is the last and final resort. You stop the income, you stop everybody's paychecks, and you make them realize and open their eyes, holy fucking shit, we need to do something different. That's when changes will start to be made. So I say now, start boycotting, Stop buying the merchandise. Stop supporting them until they get their shit right, because that's what I'm doing. And honestly, nothing else is going to change because they continue to do the same dumb shit over and over until something changes drastically. So it's up to you whether you're going to support this team or not. I will not until they get their shit together. It's definitely not going to be this year. And you want to call me not a real fan? I don't care. I call you not a real fan. If you continue to support this team, you are not a real fan, in my opinion. So that's coming from a true Chicago Bears fan. And that's going to wrap up this frustrated week of Sellout Sunday. We'll see you guys next week. So the message of this week is someone's got to take accountability for fuck-ups. That's the way it is, point blank.